So over the course of the last 2 days, we've seen a lot of innovation in terms of marketing campaigns and organizational campaigns or restructuring. For some of you guys up here, where does the pressure to change and innovate come from? Is there something internally, a champion? Is it an external force? Heidi, do you want to maybe start with that?
I think it's the market who makes, we have to change because our customers has already moved forward, long gone. It's like when the guy from the hostel presented, I'm thinking, that generation, I mean, we're like dinosaurs, all of us. So the DMOs are really not, the market has moved forward, but the DMOs are still stuck in the olden days. So I'm thinking what they're doing in VisitOSLO, you're kind of taking that seriously and thought we need to change, otherwise we will not be around. I mean, look at all the music stores that used to be, there's none left. The DMOs are, we're very soon to be the music stores if we don't do something. Yeah. Extinct.
Katrine, what about you? Where's the pressure for you guys to innovate?
Yeah, I totally agree. And plus, it's coming also from the partners, from the stakeholders. So we are totally publicly owned, but we have 70 partners. And, you know, like Lufthansa, like Deutsche Bahn, etc. And they're private companies, and they have to earn money. So we are kind of lucky to be inspiring and to put great campaigns out there, but they ask for the outcome and they ask for figures, for numbers, and at the end they're asking for sales, and so that's a thing we have to cope with, and yeah, we have to establish a good marketing, online marketing approach around it.
Absolutely. You guys, and you mentioned sales. How do you show sales to your industry? Because as destination marketers, we're kind of middlemen, so to speak. So what are you guys doing there to demonstrate that value?
We can demonstrate that with traffic to our website. So, for example, if you have a cooperation with a partner in a certain market, you might have a special microsite for a specific topic, and you might have social media activities around it, and you might have also a link to a certain offer, you know, and if you can drive traffic to that certain offer, that is a value for the partner.
So in terms of making some of these changes that we're talking about, how do you guys manage up the process to the board, the executives, and how do you instigate that change? Are there any tips or advice that you'd give to the rest of the group here?
Okay, maybe. Well, you know, I'm a consultant, and consultants are trained to look to a company as a butcher to a cow. Yeah. So they come into the company and they say this and this is wrong, but it's all about efficiency. And efficiency is doing the things right. But it's never about effectiveness. Effectiveness is about doing the right things. So what comes before structure, organization, organograms, logo, lines, reporting systems, and so on, is a story that is compelling for everyone in the company. And that's what you have to work on. And that's what people bring to another level. It's about motivation. So your first client is, your internal client is creating a team. So I was impressed that you started your presentation by, you said, first thing I did was creating a new team. And you can do it with the old people, they are there. I'm not saying that they are all old, but the staff you have. But sometimes you have also to, inject new blood in your company. Yeah.
So in terms of some of this change, what are some of the biggest roadblocks and obstacles that you guys have encountered, and how did you tackle those roadblocks?
I think it's definitely what comes out of it, and you know, we're working with tax money, and we did our research before, and we have our incoming numbers, and that's all nice. But we have heard that today and yesterday. How you prove your approach, and how do you prove your budget? And so this is still an ongoing process to show the different approaches in the certain markets, and to really show what comes out of it, so that content on different channels, for example, makes sense because customers will find you, or that you drive sales to a certain offer, and etc., etc. But it's not that everybody says, "Oh yeah, I got this." So it's still that you have to, you make your cases and to show them to the partners through workshops, through partnership events, whatever you call it, and it's it's a kind of process to just get the message across. And there are still some guys into the traditional stuff, and they just, for example, want to hear it. And I'm totally not interested in the other things because it's working. It's still working for some markets and for some customers. But I think when you show different examples and successful campaigns, and even small ones for niches, then you will get the attention.
Yeah, what a roadblock also is when you start with new, fresh ideas, is that it takes some time to be able to show the results. And that, in my situation, I think, is still a roadblock. Because first we have to get all the attention and the positive energy to make all partners willing to take this new route, but then they sort of expect immediate results after a few months. So, and that's not possible, but how to balance being enthusiastic and making promises, and at the same time making sure you don't make too much promises so they get disappointed. It's a fine line, yeah.
Well, I'm missing kind of politics. Isn't that a roadblock? Or are we the only one experiencing politics as a problem? And I'm thinking, try to explain to a grumpy local politician that they're not in your target group. That's the reason why they haven't seen the online ad or the campaign you've been doing. And they're like, yeah. So politics, that's a roadblock. Keeps coming. And even though there is a new election coming up, you have to start all over again. Well, we're not out of work when it comes to trying to convince the politics.
Yeah, and I think the more funded you are from the public sector, the more reliant you are on that. What I found important for us was that we, and really I think a success factor, was that we found ourselves a consultant. Somebody from outside that could support us in the process. And the things I've been saying for 11 years, it was kind of good having somebody else saying that and make it more valid. So having an outside
you have to have a man in Norway. You have to have a man who say the same things that you are saying.
There was
so
both
if I give them
a man or a woman.
I'm not too expensive, Katrine. Still possible.
No, we already did that, but there's lots of customers.
Right. I will tell about VisitOSLO now. So thank you, and then I can claim the success.
But I think what it's good with digital is that you get the results quicker. And it's possible to measure this. So, I mean, when I was studying back in '98, we learned that if successful marketing, it's 3 years and then you will see the results. But it's not like that anymore. You see the results the same day. Yeah. So that we should use more wisely. And I think I'm really proud coming from an organization that's been doing some very cool stuff in a little division that didn't count to actually now being representing an organization that did the transformation. And I mean, we've been working with the small budgets, but I'm looking forward now for the next couple of years because I know all budgets within most communication that is not business to business totally will be in this area, digital, social, trying to make things happen. So I think it has been amazing. And I think also some of the innovation stuff that we've been doing really pays off. I mean, many of you don't produce content, but like when we open our database, right at this moment, there's a company having our API, producing creating a service that will be on lots of airlines in the screens in front of your seat. And there will be 10 million passengers every year be able to play with your content while they board themselves on long-haul flights, just because we did something else. And it's possible. I don't care where you see my content. I don't care if it's on I don't care if it's on VisitOSLO.com, and it doesn't count more for me. I just want it to be out there, warming up everybody on the little cool city up north.
Yeah, but that's a very important thing, what you mentioned here, because we go back to the politics. There is something in a politician's mind, what we do ourselves, we do better. So, be honest, they don't care about visitors abroad. These are not their electors. So you can try to bribe them and make them travel to a lot of fancy places. But in the end, this is not their potential to be elected. But something inspired 10 people, something sneaked in those DMOs, those companies. What we do ourselves, are we doing better? So they think they are the storyteller of a destination, which is not true. You are a storyboarder. You make a storyboard, a frame, and you facilitate others to tell your story. So there was a presentation yesterday, I think it was from Nancy Smith, with that Disney song thing, Let It Go, Let It Go. That's the most difficult thing to change in DMOs, and that's really a transition process.
I just have to comment on that. Let It Go. It's from the film Frozen, situated in Norway. So the local politicians now are very into that. We in southern Norway, we need to do something about Frozen. Yeah, it's a bit outside our strategy, but still.
Arendale.
Yeah, we need to make our own politician kit, and then we can keep that here, and then we can do what's really working.
Can I just something about the politicians, because we do have some public funding, and we do need to please our politicians, and we haven't done it really well, because every time we did something new, we mostly went out and took credit ourselves, but we've started to put our politicians out there, and he can say. And VisitOSLO did this with some support from the municipality or whatever. Let them shine in the media, and then we do blogging and conferences and things like this to tell the industry that we did it. So they know that, and that works better because he can just stand there and have the light that he needs in order for the elections to go the way he wants.
Yeah, let them have the limelight.
But just to give maybe just a kind of hands-on example, we had, you might heard about it, some political issues in the last time in Germany. And for example, Dresden was in the spotlight. And we still have a blogger campaign in Dresden. Young Dresden is the hashtag. And we ran this for over 3 months. And it was really good project to present to the politics, to showcase how we try, even in troubled times, in difficult times, to push a destination in a specific city, through our channels and with our approaches we have there. And I think it's okay. It's also about the higher stuff and the higher level stuff and the specific stakeholder stuff. But I think it's also important to have these kind of examples and to just present them in a way that they see what we do with their money. And I think it's very important.
So, as much as we want to say that it's a political issue, but what about cultures in terms of the organizations? Because, destination marketing organizations have been around for, 20 to 30 years or so, but the structures haven't fundamentally changed. So how much of this isn't a culture thing that we need to adapt and not just set a strategy and say this is where we're going to go, but changing how we think about things in terms of, Heleen, you basically don't do traditional media anymore. It's 99% digital.
Right.
But how do you really change a culture that's used to seeing those shiny...
Of course, I had the sort of opportunity to start with partly a fresh team because it was not 100% changed, but we actually made all the original people working at the former organization, they had to apply for the new job. That made it also clear almost for themselves if they were a fit or not. And we managed also to explain to the people and let them understand why it wouldn't have been a good idea for themselves to get on board this new organization. And then, of course, we had the luxury of starting with a new team or with people from the old team, but feeling like they started a new job. So that was a very conscious decision to make them apply for that new job. And we changed into a new building, which maybe feels like more like the context of the organization, but it did a lot for us. We really changed from a rather dull building into a very vibrant and nice place. So all those kind of things help in changing a culture too, and to mark the point, we are really doing something new. So we really made a sort of a shift in a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, so a defining moment is just new team, new office, so it's kind of like hitting a reset.
And we took in people from outside of the tourist industry. I'm not telling that it's not possible to change within and the existing sector, that would be offensive to all of you. But that's not true, not at all. But we took on some people from real other industries, getting fresh look at the tourism sector. Yeah.
Was there new skill sets that you brought in as well? And what were those skill sets?
Sometimes a much more commercial look at things, because the organization we transitioned from was very government-oriented. They were very used to reply to political questions. If there was a government telling, we want to tell the world about this or that feature, then they told about that feature. That was more a political motivated strategy. And so getting people in from a very commercial point, with a very commercial point of view, it's the customer now who is making the decision in a way, what we are presenting. Yeah.
I think the culture thing is probably the most difficult thing that we experienced, and I think we still, to some extent, experience that. And it takes some time to take a person and make it into something else. You know, if everything you've been known to be good at is not longer valid, that's a process. Both to acknowledge yourself and then start to adapt new competence and learn new stuff. So we're still working with that, but I think we do pretty well. But yeah, I think that was the single most challenging thing in our process.
We've been trying to also have an internal culture of telling each other what we think of the work we've been doing. And it's quite, you can take me later, all my team here. But it's like, if we don't ask if we're doing a good job internally, like you did a posting on Facebook, it didn't work, we should tell each other and not be offended if a colleague come over and say, well, the work you did yesterday was shit. You shouldn't be offended, you should rather think it as a learning process. Because if we're not constantly trying to improve what we're doing internally, definitely the people outside the organization will be doing that to us. So I think everyone needs to be kind of always on track on how can we improve. Every day we need to think how can we be even better than the day before. And that's also a way of building a culture for that, because it's kind of tough if Inge, my colleague, come over to me and say, well, you've been doing a really bad job on our Facebook account, Heidi, you have to shapen up. And then we need to train on getting that message and also on delivering those kind of messages. So I don't know how the rest of you are working internally on that, but we're trying very hard to kick it back.
So just like a more open and transparent culture, essentially.
Yeah,
where
I mean, you shouldn't go home and cry if your colleague come over and tell you you haven't done a good job, because the intention is to improve the total delivery of what we're doing.
We are trying to do, on the one hand, a lot of education, so webinars for our colleagues worldwide. So every month we have different webinars for different topics, and it's it's kind of you can participate or not, and we make videos out of it and send it through all our offices. And the other thing is that it should be allowed to ask questions anytime, and it should be allowed also to have a kind of testing. So, for example, when it comes to Facebook and other social platforms, and when it comes to specific campaigns, partner campaigns, sometimes we have kind of test campaigns in different markets, and when we see it's not the way we should go, then we skip it. So it should be allowed to do some things and to step a little bit further, and if you're not quite sure with it, just, do another way or do another kind of approach. And we try to encourage the colleagues to do that more. Of course, not in a big scale, because, as I said, it's tax money, and then everybody will ask us what we are doing there. But I think it's really important when it comes to online marketing and social media.
So it's a little bit of not being afraid to fail and take very calculated risks, test it, monitor the results, and then refine it for the next time. Frank, were you going to say something?
Yeah. Culture is my thing. What we did, well, first an observation, and maybe it's a bit blunt, but personally I think I'm a bit shocked about how top-down public services can be. and I see a lack of leadership. There are DMOs where the CEO is shadowing the minister, that's everything he does, and then the head of the department is shadowing the CEO. So maybe a tip or a trick, or what I try to do, is to smuggle in situational leadership by upgrading the worth of project management and putting project managers on the same level as heads, so that you can tear down the walls of the silo management. That's something we tried. And there is no magic when people are trained to fear the big boss. But what you can do is to engage them and try to see themselves that they have to empower themselves in order not to be overpowered by their bosses. And you have to learn them and to teach them that I is meaningless without you. So there's nothing so strong as a team. A CEO who says, you're going to do this, and the team says, I don't think so. He has a big problem. You are talking about millennials all the time here. In digital world, millennials mean something. Well, I have 2 children, they're 17 and they're 19 years old, and they don't take you should do that because I say so. And that is a new generation, and they will not take that thing about top-down decisions anymore. So,
for me, the top-down was in order to make change of the whole organization. You can't get that without the CEO aboard. And that was and I still believe that is very true. And she's not controlling, she's not digital at all. She comes from the meeting industry, that's the least digital you find in the travel industry. Yet she managed to do this because she understands that it's the right for the organization. So you need to have the CEO aboard. You don't need the CEO to what's it called, detail every process. Just need to have it aboard.
I think the CEO should be the enabler,
yes.
And the co-workers, the team, should be of better quality even than the CEO, and the CEO should like that a lot.
But absolutely.
Make sure that your people are much smarter than you are, then you have a good organization.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. That the CEO, for the men here who like soccer, the CEO should not be the center forward, he should be the playmaker. And that's what happened with you. They say, okay, I trust you, and I let you go, and I let you do, and
yes.
That's the most important thing.
That's what she did, and I mean, she's the only new person in the organization. Everybody else has been working there for many years. So she just let us, enabled us to do things that were right for the organization.
Great job. I want to become a CEO, actually.
I think you'd be great at it.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I would just want to add, especially when it comes also to shift budgets, you need the CEO.
Yes.
So that's just the thing. So, and if you want to have a budget for a certain campaign, if you want to increase or enlarge your department, you need the CEO on board in order to get that from the stakeholders or internally from the organization. Yeah.
Yeah, I think inherently budgets, as they're allocated across, automatically create the silos because you have your pocket of X amount of dollars, go do your performance deliverables, you guys do yours, but nobody has to communicate with each other. So what if budgets were different and they were like, here's X amount of dollars for a campaign, anybody who wants to be a part of it, go for it. And do you think that would work in organizations to create that kind of team building?
I think that's how we work in Brabant almost, but not with those figures, I must say, but let's say other amounts. We do, together with the team, find out how to spend, how to do it. That's not a centrally constructed thing. And maybe one other point, when you asked earlier how to get stakeholders on board and things like that, in our governance structure, we have a board of commissioners who are also from all kind of parts in the society. So there are political representatives, but there are also people from the businesses and people from the knowledge institutes. So my boss consists of those people. Yeah.
And so we kind of talked about showing results, etc. How important is it to get quick wins to then look at the data and showcase that both up, down, industry? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, very important. Yeah. We were very happy with the cycle path, I can tell you.
What are some of the things that industry looked at and said, hey, wow, that's impressive, we want to join in on that, and what wowed industry stakeholders?
Yeah, I'm not there yet, so others should tell.
Yeah, of course it's important because, for example, for our annual themes, we just have 1 year. We have just 1 year to make it kind of big internationally and to spread the word and to satisfy certain stakeholders. And of course, we have to find each time we have to find a way what serves this goal also, but not only. So I have to say that.
In our experience for the industry, it's been very successful that we have given them the toolkit and enabled them to do a better job. It feels like for them it's an instant win-win situation. So even though we can't show for the biggest result when it comes to what we do in VisitOSLO on social media campaigns and so on, the thing we're doing for the industry, teaching them, enabling them to do a better job, that's great value, and it's a more important value for the industry than what all the other activities we do. So find what the industry needs from you and deliver on that, and they will be happy. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a big social media campaign. It can just be knowledge for the business to actually do the stuff themselves.
Yeah, we're diving into that now, and we think that is a very essential part of the strategy for us, is to make the industry perform better in social. So I think you do an amazing job, and I hope we can learn something from you.
So in your presentation, you mentioned to stop measuring bed nights.
Yeah.
What, if you guys were the board of directors for a destination marketing organization, what would you guys recommend the measures of success? What are some of the new measures that we should use?
I just have to say, like, if you measure bed nights, if you measure something that you can't really control as a DMO. We haven't done any marketing activities in Denmark for 3 years, but still the number of Danish visitors to our region is increasing. So apparently what we were doing before didn't have any impact whatsoever. So we do better when we're not doing anything. So that's good. But I think the project that we are also working with VisitOSLO on, measuring the digital footprint, that's the kind of new, the engagement, the buzz about your destination is a better way of measuring results, and it gives actually a lot better feedback for the industry.
For us, it also is important to include, in addition to the digital footprint, the thing that the businesses are actually interested in, the turnover, the RevPAR, and what makes it go around for them. So even though we can't say if this or this creates bed nights at that hotel, we will need to assume that our work will lead to a higher turnover in our destination, and we will do everything we can to do that. And that means like replacing our online booking, because it's not what the industry wants, and we're not supposed to earn money on that. So right now they have got the issue in their hands, and we said we have 3 million unique users. They visit 6 pages each. How would you like to capitalize on this in order to increase bookings the way you like it? So the new way to measure leads to new type of activities and priorities, and that is good for the industry because that ensures them that we are doing what's important for them.
Well,
And it's definitely traffic, and it's definitely engagement, but also it's content. And I think that's, unfortunately, most people do not see that. But 2 years ago, we created a user-generated page, website, the Hotspot website, and there's so much content on it from travelers all over the world, content for small cities, small regions, you probably never heard about it, cafes, special locations. And it's, we provide this content for them. They do not have to pay anything for it. And we did that through this campaign. And it's a platform they can use. They can integrate that content to their websites, etc., etc. They can use it on their social media platforms. And this is a really good value for them to promote them.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I agree with Katrine. The first demand of the industry is content, is workshops, is good practices, and then they follow. But bed nights and arrivals, sorry, it's bullshit.
But it's still needed
Yeah,
for our
I know
communication.
it's deep rooted, but it's not only the industry; it's the media as well. Then they say, an increase of 20% of tourists from Russia, meaning just a very tiny percentage of your total population. There is a funny story when I came at Tourism in Flanders. Now it's Visit Flanders. The first guy I had on my path was a director of Spain, who is very famous in the company, and he said, "I'm not paid enough. You have to pay me more." And he said, "I will take the risk. I will take a bonus for every tourist I bring to your country because I'm growing every year and I have now 600,000 arrivals. Wow, am I not good?" And I said, "I will sign that immediately, because if Al-Qaeda has a bomb attack on the capital of Brussels, I think I have sent you a package of food because you will starve." So there is such an overestimation of what marketing can do in the whole marketing chain of influencing. You're just a tiny piece. And the only thing you could do is take away that tiny piece for a long term. Because if the year after the weather is good or there's a big event in Norway or something, the people will stay coming. So in the long term, you can measure what is the damage if we don't have a DMO. But that's so deeply rooted, and it's absolutely something we have to get rid of. Yeah.
So is there really I mean, maybe that's the problem, is that we're looking for a magic number in terms of, hey, we hit our silver bullet, yay, we all win. Or is it maybe bringing the measurement down to more tangible little micro wins of content and engagement and some of these minor things, and then measuring it on a micro level as opposed to a macro level?
Yeah, it's also measuring, I think, per specific events or campaigns, instead of an overall number throughout the year of everything you do. For example, we work with the theme years, and we will be able to show how connecting to a larger internationally known icon will help smaller businesses to attract traffic visitors who they would never had if we hadn't had the theme. So, and that's important, of course, because then that helps us also explain themes after this one, and to make sure people will get involved. Yeah. And we can explain that, I think, yeah.
So if you guys kind of had to give some parting advice to the audience here as to the one takeaway or the one thing that you guys would do differently, what would that be?
I would like then to introduce MAYA. MAYA is an acronym for Most Advanced Yet Acceptable, and that's what I did wrong. You come in, you're new, you try to engage people, and that's new, and that's trendy, and that's the direction you have to go. But you have to find a sort of threshold, on a sort of tolerance of innovation, and you have to be on that threshold, on that line, and sometimes you cross it, and sometimes you just follow it. That's the most important learning of my experience 4 years in tourism, yeah.
That's a great one.
I would say just do it. It's like we spend so much time on processes and all kind of that. It's just what's been a red line, I think, of all the presentations here is that people have just done stuff, not knowing what the outcome would be, and then it was a success, or maybe it wasn't. But it's a bit like do the stuff and then write the strategy afterwards if you need to show something to the board. But don't always wait for having everything in place. Sometimes you just have to move forward, because your strategy will probably not be valuable anymore when it's printed out of your computer or whatever, because suddenly things are not what they used to be. Because who of us was on Instagram 3 years ago? We didn't know about it. It didn't exist. And now we're trying to kick ass on the Snapchat. I'm too old, so I hired Henrik, who's young and he's millennial. He's going to take care of that for us. But we need to move fast forward, and then the organization structure need also to be flexible to handle all the changes that's happening in the market so quickly.
Yeah, jump in and take calculated risks.
Yeah, I think if you're at the top of the organization, you should do like Heidi said, just do it. And if you're not, you should get the one at top aboard and make sure to just document how the things are working, and ask how other things are working. What is working well and what is not. and then you have a basis for change. But as I've said before, I think you will have a hard time if you can't have the top of the organization on board.
Yeah, I think that refers to Heidi. I think more testing, be okay sometimes with failing, and speak about it. Yeah.
And I would say stick to or most of your time and energy to the positive forces, the people who want to come along. Of course, the complainers can give a lot of noise, and you should not neglect them. But be aware that you don't put all your energy in it, because some will never change, and they will even object when you are too successful. So please focus on the people who want to come along the ride, so you can keep on smiling, because you really will need that. Yeah.
Absolutely, it saves your energy as well. And trying to bring naysayers along can be really, really taxing. No? All right, well, thank you very much to our panel, guys. I really appreciate it. Round of applause.